Water has always been a mirror of mystery. It holds secrets in its depths, whispers carried by the wind, and shadows that ripple beneath the moonlight. Lakes, especially, have a way of swallowing both time and memory. They are places of beauty, but also of tragedy where lives are lost, spirits linger, and legends are born. Tonight, we journey across America to uncover 20 of the most haunted lakes in the United States. From cursed waters that drag swimmers down to ghostly figures who appear on moonlit shores, each of these lakes carries its own chilling story. So, find a quiet place, dim the lights, and let's drift into the dark waters together. Lake Lanier, sprawling across more than 38,000 acres in northern Georgia, is one of the most popular recreation spots in the South. Families flock there each summer to swim, boat, and fish. But beneath its sparkling waters lies a history as dark as the depths themselves. A history that has given rise to ghost stories, whispers of curses, and a reputation as one of the most haunted lakes in America. The lake was created in the 1950s when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dammed the Chattahoochee River to build Beaufort Dam. The purpose was flood control, hydroelectric power, and water supply, but the cost was enormous. Entire communities were displaced, farmlands swallowed, and, most chillingly, cemeteries were left behind. Bodies were supposed to be relocated, but locals have long claimed that not every grave was moved. To this day, people believe that hundreds of unmarked burials remain under the water, their spirits unsettled by the desecration. Beneath the surface are also the remnants of homes, roads, and even a racetrack, now eerily preserved in the drowned ghost towns of the past. From the very beginning, Lake Lanier's story was marked by tragedy, and as soon as the lake filled, drownings began. Over the decades, the death toll has climbed into the hundreds, with boating mishaps, car wrecks plunging into the lake, and inexplicable drownings, even among strong swimmers. Locals began to whisper of a curse, an invisible hand that pulls the living into the depths to join those buried beneath. Perhaps the most famous legend of Lake Lanier is the Lady of the Lake. In 1958, a car carrying two young women crashed off a bridge into the water. Months later, one of the bodies was recovered, but the other remained missing for decades. In the years that followed, countless witnesses reported seeing a woman in a blue dress drifting across the surface of the lake, or standing silently on the bridge before vanishing into thin air. In 1990, road crews discovered a car with skeletal remains inside while doing construction near the same bridge. The remains were identified as the second woman from the crash. Yet, even after her body was found, reports of the Lady of the Lake have continued. Her pale figure illuminated by moonlight, a ghost searching for something forever lost. But she is not the only spirit said to haunt Lanier's waters. Fishermen have reported phantom boats drifting in the fog, silent and empty, only to vanish when approached. Divers exploring the depths have described eerie encounters, disembodied whispers, sudden cold currents, and the unsettling sensation of being watched. Some tell of ghostly hands tugging at them, trying to drag them deeper. The stories are consistent enough to suggest that the lake has a will of its own, as if it resents the living playing above the drowned world below. One of the eeriest elements of Lake Lanier is the strange behavior of the water itself. Locals describe it as unpredictable, with sudden waves and currents that appear out of nowhere. Boats capsize in calm weather, swimmers vanish in shallow areas, and experienced divers sometimes refuse to return to the lake after unsettling experiences. It has earned a chilling nickname among some Georgians, the watery graveyard. Adding to the unease are the numerous accounts of drivers who have lost control near the lake at night. Some survivors claim they swerved to avoid shadowy figures in the road, only to find no one there when they came to their senses. Others describe the sensation of their vehicles being pulled toward the water, as though something unseen wanted to drag them into the depths. Despite tour, perhaps because of its sinister reputation, Lake Lanier continues to draw millions of visitors each year. Families set up picnics along the sandy beaches. Teenagers dive from docks, and boaters skim across the surface. Yet, for every happy memory made at Lanier, there seems to be a corresponding tragedy. Every summer, The lake adds new names to its long list of victims, fueling the belief that it is cursed. Some locals refuse to swim there at all, insisting that those who enter the water are taking a terrible risk. Psychologists might suggest that the lake's haunted reputation comes from its troubled history, amplified by the high number of accidents. But others believe that something darker lingers there, something born from the flooding of graves and communities. They say the dead are restless, and the water itself has absorbed their sorrow and anger, becoming a living force that demands sacrifice. Visitors who come after dark describe the lake as almost unnaturally quiet. The stillness is broken only by the lapping of water against the shore or the distant call of an animal. It's during these moments that people claim to see strange lights gliding across the surface, or to hear the faint sound of laughter, as though ghostly echoes of the communities beneath still linger. The air feels heavy, charged with something unseen, and those who stay too long by the water often leave with an unshakable sense of dread, as if they had been in the presence of something not quite human. Lake Lanier is a place of contradictions, joyful memories, and devastating losses, natural beauty, and chilling mystery. It is a lake built on sacrifice, a man-made creation that disrupted the natural order and left restless spirits in its wake. To some, it is simply a reservoir with a tragic accident rate. To others, it is cursed, a body of water that hungers for souls. What cannot be denied is the feeling people get when they stand on its shore at night, staring into the black water that hides entire towns and forgotten graves. It is a feeling that something is there, just beyond sight, waiting. A reminder that while the surface may glisten in the sun, the past still lurks in the shadows below. Lake Ronkonkoma, nestled in the heart of Long Island, New York, is a place of beauty and mystery. Spanning more than 200 acres, it is the island's largest freshwater lake and has long been a gathering spot for fishing, boating, and picnics. Yet, beneath the sparkling surface lies a chilling legend that has endured for centuries, transforming this tranquil body of water into one of the most haunted locations in the region. Stories of curses, restless spirits, and unexplained drownings have surrounded the lake for generations, casting a shadow over its otherwise picturesque appearance. The legend begins with a Native American princess, a figure who has become inseparable from the lake's history. According to the story, the princess fell deeply in love with a European settler during the colonial era. Their love, however, was forbidden by her people, and their romance was torn apart by cultural boundaries and prejudice. Heartbroken and desperate, she is said to have walked into the waters of Lake Ronkonkoma and drowned herself, her sorrow mingling with the depths of the lake. From that day forward, the waters were believed to be cursed, a vessel for her eternal grief and vengeance. For centuries, locals have claimed that the spirit of the princess demands a life every year. Strangely, most of the drowning victims recorded at Lake Ronkonkoma have been young men, feeding the belief that the princess targets them specifically, punishing others in place of the lover she lost. Some families who have lost loved ones to the lake even refer to her as the Lady of the Lake, a ghostly figure who rises from the water to lure men to their deaths. Beyond the tragic lore, the lake itself possesses qualities that intensify its eerie reputation. Though it covers only a few hundred acres, Lake Ronkonkoma has long been rumored to be bottomless. Scientists and divers will confirm that the lake does indeed have unusual depths for its size, with steep drop-offs and underwater springs that make the bottom difficult to chart. Cold currents rise without warning, creating dangerous swimming conditions even for strong swimmers. These natural hazards may explain some of the drownings, but many locals insist the deaths are not accidents at all. They believe the princess's ghostly hands are what pulled the victims down, fulfilling her vow of eternal revenge. Visitors often speak of strange experiences at the lake. On misty mornings, a thick fog rolls across the surface, obscuring everything in sight. Those who venture near the shore at these times claim to see shapes moving in the mist, sometimes the silhouette of a woman, sometimes the outline of canoes or figures that vanish when approached. Swimmers have reported a sensation of being grabbed by unseen forces, pulled downward, despite calm waters. Some describe icy hands clutching at their ankles, leaving them terrified and gasping when they manage to break free. Fishermen, too, tell unsettling tales on quiet nights, when the water lies still and the only sound should be the chirp of crickets. They sometimes hear whispers carried across the surface. At first, it might seem like wind in the trees, but the voices grow clearer, soft, mournful, and undeniably human. Those who have heard them describe the experience as deeply unsettling, as though the voices are calling from beneath the water itself. A few even claim the whispers form words, pleading or beckoning them closer to the lake. Perhaps the most chilling encounters are those involving the apparition of the princess herself. Witnesses have described seeing a woman in white gliding gracefully across the water, her figure glowing faintly in the moonlight. She drifts silently, sometimes pausing to look toward the shore, before fading into nothingness. Others report seeing her standing on the shoreline, gazing out across the water with sorrowful eyes, before vanishing as quickly as she appeared. The apparition has been described as both beautiful and terrifying, a reminder of the lake, its tragic past, and the restless spirit bound to it. Over time, these stories have blended folklore, tragedy, and superstition into a powerful legend that defines Lake Ronkonkoma's identity. Generations of Long Islanders have grown up with warnings about the lake, told not to swim too far or venture in at night. Parents passed down the story of the cursed princess, both as a cautionary tale and as a way to explain the lake's long history of unexplained deaths. Even in modern times, when scientific explanations are readily available, the legend remains unshaken. For many, the deaths at the lake are simply too consistent, too eerie, to be dismissed as coincidence. Adding to the mystery, researchers and historians have uncovered variations of the tale. Some versions say the princess wrote love letters to her forbidden partner and cast them into the water each day, waiting in vain for a response until despair drove her to suicide. Others suggest she was forced into an arranged marriage and fled into the lake rather than betray her heart. While the details differ, the themes of forbidden love, heartbreak, and a watery grave remain constant, tying the lake's supernatural reputation firmly to its Native American roots. To this day, Lake Ronkonkoma holds an uneasy balance between natural beauty and ghostly dread. Families gather on its shores, and summer days see swimmers wading in its cool waters. Yet, the stories are never far away. A sudden ripple on a still evening, a patch of unexplained fog, or a chilling silence can quickly remind visitors of the legends that surround them. And when another drowning makes the news, whispers of the curse spread once again, reinforcing the belief that the princess's vengeance continues. Whether one views the lake as cursed or simply dangerous, there is no denying its eerie allure. It is a place where myth and reality blur, where grief from centuries past seems to echo in every ripple and wave. The waters of Lake Ronkonkoma reflect both beauty and tragedy, drawing people in even as they warn of unseen perils. For those who know its history, the lake is not just a body of water. It's a haunting reminder that some stories never die, and some spirits never rest. Lake Superior, stretching across the borders of Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin, is more than just the largest of the Great Lakes. It is one of the most formidable bodies of water in North America. Vast enough to resemble an inland sea, its waters are cold, deep, and unforgiving. While it has long been a source of commerce, fishing, and recreation, Lake Superior has also earned a darker reputation, with violent storms, countless shipwrecks, and unexplained phenomena. It has become a place where stories of restless spirits and ghostly vessels thrive. Too many, Lake Superior is a watery graveyard, one where the past refuses to rest. For centuries, Lake Superior has demanded respect from those who dare to cross it. Sailors have long feared its sudden storms, which can appear without warning and turn calm waters into a maelstrom of towering waves and violent winds. These storms have swallowed ships whole, often leaving no trace behind. The lake is so vast and so cold that recovery is nearly impossible, and the number of lives lost is staggering. Some say more than 10,000 lives have been claimed by Lake Superior, with over 350 shipwrecks scattered across its floor. Many of these wrecks remain undiscovered, their crews still entombed in the icy darkness. The most famous tragedy occurred on November 10, 1975, when the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, a massive iron ore freighter, sank during a furious storm. The ship and its 29-man crew vanished in the waves, leaving behind no survivors. In the decades since, the Edmund Fitzgerald has become one of the most enduring ghost stories of the Great Lakes. Fishermen and sailors report seeing a massive freighter gliding silently through the mist, only for it to disappear when approached. Some even claim to see figures waving from its decks, spectral sailors trapped forever on their final voyage. But the Fitzgerald is not alone in the lake's haunted lore. Ghost ships have been reported for centuries, with one of the earliest tales dating back to the 18th century. Sailors told of phantom vessels appearing out of the fog, sails full despite the lack of wind, only to vanish as quickly as they appeared. Others described ships on fire, drifting silently across the horizon, their masts glowing in the night, yet leaving no smoke or ash behind. These visions are often interpreted as echoes of real disasters, a spectral replay of tragedies that once unfolded on the stormy waters. Locals and seasoned mariners also speak of strange sounds carried across the waves. Phantom bells are among the most commonly reported, tolling mournfully in the distance when no ships are near. Some believe these are the bells of sunken vessels, still ringing beneath the waves. Fishermen tell of hearing voices on quiet nights, sometimes shouts of warning, sometimes cries of distress that vanish into the wind. These sounds, chilling and inexplicable, add to the sense that the souls of the drowned still linger just beneath the surface. The water itself contributes to Lake Superior's eerie aura. Bone-chillingly cold, even in summer, it has a way of preserving bodies in an almost unnatural state. Divers have recovered remains decades after accidents, their features remarkably intact, as if time itself had been suspended. This unsettling preservation has led to countless ghost stories, with some claiming that the lake does not simply hold the dead, it keeps them, unwilling to let them go. Stories of haunted lighthouses add another layer to Superior's reputation. Split Rock Lighthouse in Minnesota, built to guard ships from the treacherous rocks below, is said to be haunted by the spirits of those it failed to save. Visitors report seeing ghostly figures in the lantern room and hearing heavy footsteps echoing in the keeper's quarters. The lighthouse, perched high on a cliff, serves as both a beacon and a reminder of the many lives claimed by the lake below. There is also something about the atmosphere of Lake Superior that fuels its legends. Standing on its shores at night, when the fog rolls in and the waves crash endlessly, it is easy to believe the lake is alive. Its sheer size and power inspire awe, but also a deep sense of dread. Many who visit describe a feeling of being watched, as though unseen eyes follow them from the darkness of the water. Even those who dismiss ghost stories cannot deny the unsettling presence that seems to hang in the air. Scientists may explain ghost ships and phantom sounds as tricks of the light, illusions created by fog, or echoes carried by Superior's unique acoustics. But for those who have experienced them firsthand, the explanations do little to dispel the fear. When a sailor sees a ship that vanishes without a trace, or hears a bell tolling in the dead of night, it is not easily forgotten. Lake Superior's haunted reputation endures because it blends tragedy with mystery. The countless lives lost, the ships that vanished without explanation, and the strange experiences of those who sail or live near its shores all weave together into a tapestry of ghostly lore. Each story reinforces the belief that the lake is more than just water, and Stoneit is a keeper of souls, a place where the past lingers just beyond reach. To this day, the Edmund Fitzgerald remains a symbol of the lake's power and mystery. Each year, memorial services are held, and the names of the lost crew are read aloud. Yet, despite the remembrance, reports of phantom ships and spectral sailors continue. Many believe the crew is still out there, sailing eternally through the mist. Others think the entire lake is cursed, destined to claim more lives as the years go on. Lake Superior is beautiful, vast, and awe-inspiring, but it is also haunted by history, by tragedy, and by spirits that refuse to leave. For sailors and locals alike, the lake is more than a body of water. It is a living legend, a place where the line between this world and the next feels thin, where the dead sail on forever, and where the toll of phantom bells reminds us that the lake never forgets those it has claimed. Lake Crescent, deep within Washington's Olympic National Park, is one of the most stunning natural landscapes in the Pacific Northwest. Surrounded by towering evergreens and snow-capped peaks, its waters are so clear and deep that they shimmer like glass, reflecting the world above in perfect stillness. Tourists and hikers are drawn here year-round to bask in its natural beauty, but behind that serene surface lies a far darker tale. The lake has a history steeped in mystery, and at the heart of it all is a story that transformed this pristine body of water into one of Washington's most haunted places. The legend begins in 1940 with a woman named Hallie Illingworth. Hallie was a waitress at the Lake Crescent Tavern, known by many as lively and friendly. But her marriage to truck driver Montgomery J. Illingworth was anything but peaceful. Accounts suggest their relationship was fraught with arguments and abuse, and neighbors often heard fights erupting between them. One cold December night, Hallie vanished. No one knew where she had gone, and Montgomery told anyone who asked that she had simply left him and disappeared. For years, her fate remained a mystery. Then, in July of 1943, 3 years after her disappearance, the lake gave up its secret. A fisherman noticed something unusual floating near the surface. What he discovered shocked the entire region. It was the body of a woman, almost perfectly preserved despite years underwater. Her skin had taken on a waxy, ivory-like texture, and her features were still eerily recognizable. Locals and investigators soon identified her as Hallie Illingworth. Because of her unusual state, preserved by the cold waters and unique mineral composition of the lake, she became known as the Lady of the Lake. The investigation that followed confirmed suspicions. Hallie had been murdered tied with ropes and weighted before being cast into the depths. Her husband, Montgomery, was eventually arrested and convicted of her murder, ensuring that her tragic death would forever be tied to Lake Crescent's legacy. But for many who visit Lake Crescent, the story doesn't end with the trial. Strange occurrences have been reported along the shoreline and on the water itself ever since. Visitors walking the banks at night have described seeing a pale woman in white, her figure glowing faintly in the moonlight, drifting silently along the shore before vanishing into the trees. Boaters claim that, in the still hours of night, they have seen a face in the water staring up at them, only to dissolve into ripples when they lean closer. Swimmers tell an even more unsettling story. Some have described an inexplicable weight dragging at their legs, as though unseen hands are pulling them down. Others feel a sudden bone-deep chill, even when the water around them is warm. A few claim to have heard splashing nearby, as if someone were struggling in the water, only to find nothing there when they turn. The eerie sensations often drive swimmers back to shore, their hearts pounding with fear they can't explain. Local legends also suggest that Hallie isn't the only restless soul bound to the lake. Long before European settlers arrived, the indigenous Clallam people told stories about Lake Crescent, warning that its waters were dangerous and sacred. They believed the lake was a place where spirits lingered, and the depth itself, over 600 feet in some areas, was said to hide powerful forces that no human should disturb. That belief seems to echo in the modern tales of strange lights seen over the lake, ghostly voices carried on the wind, and the overwhelming sense that someone is watching from beneath the surface. The environment of Lake Crescent adds to its unsettling reputation. The lake's remarkable clarity allows one to see far below the surface. But the deeper you look, the darker and more endless the water seems. It feels bottomless, a void that could swallow anything whole. On misty mornings, when fog drifts across the water and silence blankets the forest, the atmosphere can feel oppressive, as if the lake itself is holding its breath. The Lady of the Lake's story has become a permanent part of Olympic National Park's history. Guides tell visitors her tale, and locals share their encounters as cautionary whispers around campfires. Some say Hallie still searches for peace, her soul bound to the place where her life was so violently taken. Others believe her spirit is a warning, a reminder of the violence hidden beneath tranquil surfaces. Whatever the truth, Lake Crescent carries an energy that many can feel but few can explain. Today, tourists come to hike the trails, kayak the waters, and marvel at the scenery. Yet even those who daren't believe in ghosts often admit that Lake Crescent has a strange pull. Something about it feels otherworldly. The glassy water reflects back more than just the mountains and sky. It reflects an uneasy history, a tragedy that will not be forgotten. As long as Hallie's story lingers, Lake Crescent will remain a place where beauty and darkness intertwine. A haunting reminder that even the clearest waters can hide the deepest secrets. Lake Mead, stretching across the Nevada-Arizona border, is more than just a reservoir. It's a graveyard of both history and mystery. Born from the construction of the Hoover Dam in the 1930s, it swallowed entire towns, roads, railways, and graveyards beneath its rising waters. Generations have lived with the knowledge that forgotten lives and remnants of a drowned past lie just below the surface. Now, as the waterline continues to recede, these hidden secrets are beginning to reappear, and with them, eerie tales that make Lake Mead one of the most unsettling bodies of water in America. From its inception, the lake carried a sense of finality. Families were displaced as their homes, churches, and cemeteries were drowned beneath the water. Over time, these ghost towns became the foundation of a chilling legend that the souls of those never moved, or whose graves were submerged, still linger in the depths. Locals whisper that when the waters are calm, you can sometimes hear faint church bells ringing from beneath, a spectral reminder of what once was. But it isn't just memory that haunts Lake Mead. Boaters often describe strange shadows darting beneath their vessels' shapes, far too large to be fish, gliding silently in the darkness. At night, some report lights flickering beneath the water, like lanterns carried by invisible hands wandering through the submerged ruins. The surface of the lake itself can feel deceptively still, but those who know its history say that stillness hides an undercurrent of tragedy. Divers who venture into the depths have their own chilling stories. Some tell of disembodied whispers that echo in their ears, even when no one else is near. Others describe sensations of being pulled downward by unseen hands, as if the lake itself resents their intrusion. A few even claim to have stumbled upon entire ghost towns, eerily intact beneath the waves, buildings with doorways leading into blackness, schoolhouses with collapsed desks and grave markers standing in rows as if still waiting for mourners. For these divers, the line between past and present blurs, and the weight of history presses down with a suffocating intensity. One recurring legend is that of a diver who disappeared beneath the surface while exploring a sunken structure. His body was never found, but his companions swore they saw him in their lights just before he vanished. They described him as frozen in place, staring wide-eyed into a dark window before being yanked backward by something unseen. Since then, some divers have claimed to encounter a figure waving from below, beckoning them down into the ruins, only for it to dissolve into shadow when approached. The strangeness of Lake Mead is heightened by what the receding waters have revealed in recent years. As drought has lowered the waterline, long-hidden objects have emerged. Boats sunken decades ago, rusted engines, even skeletal remains. Each revelation feeds into the lake's eerie reputation. Some of the uncovered bodies have been tied to unsolved murders, mob activity, or tragic accidents, adding yet another layer of darkness to its story. When barrels containing human remains began to surface, the whispers of curses and restless spirits only grew louder. Visitors often describe the atmosphere of Lake Mead as unsettling in ways that go beyond its physical appearance. On still nights, the silence feels oppressive, as though the air itself is thick with unspoken voices. Fishermen have claimed to hear murmurs carrying across the water, conversations in languages they cannot identify. Others say they've seen a woman in white standing on the shore, staring out at the water before vanishing without a sound. Some locals connect her to those displaced by the dam's construction, perhaps a mourner who lost her home, or a grieving widow who refused to leave her loved ones buried beneath the floodwaters. Then there are the storms. Lake Mead, like many large bodies of water, can conjure sudden squalls that churn its surface into chaos. Many boaters lost to these storms have never been recovered, their bodies claimed by the cold depths. Survivors sometimes speak of phantom waves that appear without warning, as if the lake itself rises up in anger. A few even insist that voices shout from the wind, calling out names or screaming warnings too late to be heeded. What gives Lake Mead its most sinister edge is the idea that it is not merely a man-made lake, but a resting place for lives interrupted and histories erased. Beneath its vast waters lie not just artifacts of the past, but entire communities cut short by progress. Every ripple feels like the brush of memory, every unexplained sound, a reminder that the past does not rest easily here, whether through phantom lights, ghostly whispers, or the cold embrace of unseen hands. The lake seems determined to remind visitors of what lies below. To stand on its shore at dusk is to feel a tension in the air, a sense that the lake is watching. The dark waters seem to stretch endlessly, a mirror that hides as much as it reflects. It's no wonder that so many leave with stories they cannot explain, whispers that followed them back to camp, shadows beneath the waves that moved against the current, or an overwhelming sense of dread that lingers long after leaving. Lake Mead is more than a reservoir. It is a monument to sacrifice, secrecy, and sorrow, a place where the drowned past has never stopped breathing. Those who visit often say the lake feels cursed, as if it carries with it an echo of all it has taken. Perhaps it does. Perhaps the restless spirits of Lake Mead are not trapped, but waiting for the next person to listen closely enough to hear their voices carried on the wind across the water. Lake Champlain, stretching between New York, Vermont, and touching into Quebec, is a place where natural wonder and supernatural mystery blend seamlessly. With its vast waters and fog-laden horizons, the lake is best known for the legend of Champ, a cryptid said to dwell in its depths. Yet beyond the stories of a serpentine monster lies an even darker undercurrent of hauntings, phantoms of sailors, Native Americans, and countless drowned souls who are believed to linger on the waters. For many, Lake Champlain is not merely a home for folklore, but a haunted waterway where history itself refuses to rest. The legend of Champ is centuries old. Native American tribes who lived along the lake told stories of a great water serpent, describing it as a powerful guardian spirit of the waters. When European settlers arrived, they too began to report sightings of a massive, serpentine figure gliding silently beneath the waves. Fishermen claimed to see its long, dark body break the surface before disappearing into the mist. To this day, Champ remains a central figure of Lake Champlain lore, with hundreds of reported sightings over the years. But behind the cryptid fascination is a more chilling truth. Many believe that Champ is not alone in haunting the waters. Long before the modern era, Lake Champlain was the site of violent battles and tragic drownings. During the French and Indian War, and later the Revolutionary War, naval battles unfolded across its waters. Ships were sunk, and many lives were lost, their bodies never recovered from the lake's depths. Locals say that some of these souls still make their presence known. Ghost ships have been reported gliding silently across the water on foggy nights, their sails unfurled, moving without sound before vanishing into thin air. Those who witnessed them describe the vessels as shadowy and spectral, as if belonging to another time, cut loose from the present, or the sound of drums beating faintly in the distance. Many believe these are the echoes of Native Americans who once lived, fought, and died along the shores. In some accounts, glowing figures have been seen standing along the banks, only to fade when approached. At night, when the fog rolls heavy and the moonlight dances across the rippling water, the entire lake seems alive with spirits hidden in the mist. One of the most enduring supernatural tales involves strange lights that appear beneath the surface of Lake Champlain. Witnesses describe them as glowing orbs, shifting and darting just below the waterline. Some interpret these lights as natural phenomena, reflections, or underwater gases, but others insist they are the souls of the drowned, trying to rise from the depths. Divers have even claimed to encounter the lights firsthand, describing how they flicker and move in impossible ways, almost as if aware of being watched. The towns that line the shores have their own stories as well. In Burlington, Vermont, old mariners tell of seeing spectral figures waving from the decks of ghostly schooners. In Plattsburgh, New York, residents have spoken of hearing the tolling of phantom bells across the water, as if ships long sunken were still navigating the lake. For some, these experiences are deeply unsettling. For others, they are a reminder that Lake Champlain holds memories older and darker than living memory. The haunting reputation of the lake only grows stronger when combined with the cryptid legend of Champ. Some speculate that the creature itself is not a biological oddity at all, but rather a manifestation of the lake's collective spiritual energy and ancient presence tied to the souls that rest below. The overlap of ghostly sightings and cryptid encounters has made Lake Champlain one of the most layered supernatural sites in America. A place where different dimensions of folklore, tragedy, and the unknown all coexist. Visitors often describe the lake as breathtaking during the day, with its calm waters reflecting the surrounding mountains. But as the sun sets and the fog begins to creep in, the atmosphere shifts. Shadows form on the water where none should exist. Distant splashes echo with no visible cause. Boats anchored for the night sometimes rock as though something massive has brushed against them. Even when the waters appear still, those who stay overnight on the lake often wake with an unshakable feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes are always peering up from below. The story of Lake Champlain is not one of a single haunting, but rather of layered tragedies and mysteries woven together. Battles, drownings, and untold accidents have left their imprint here, just as the cryptid lore has fueled fascination and fear for centuries. To stand on its shores is to feel the weight of all that history pressing against the present. It is no wonder that so many who visit speak of unease, as if the lake itself remembers too much. Lake Champlain is a place of beauty, yes, but also of sorrow and secrets. Whether it is the ghostly ships cutting silently through the mist, the mournful cries carried over the water, or the strange lights glowing beneath its surface, the lake is alive with stories that blur the line between myth and haunting. Perhaps Champ is real, perhaps not. But one thing is certain, Lake Champlain is haunted, and those who venture near its waters never truly leave untouched. White Rock Lake in Dallas is known today as a peaceful spot for picnics, boating, and long walks under the Texas sky. But after the sun sets, the lake becomes the center of one of the state's most chilling legends. It is here that countless people have claimed to encounter the Lady of the Lake, a ghostly figure whose story has haunted generations of Texans. Her presence has transformed the lake from a simple recreational area into one of the most famous paranormal landmarks in the South. The story of the Lady of the Lake has been told since the 1930s. Most often, witnesses describe a young woman dressed in a dripping wet, white gown, standing by the roadside near the lake, or wandering along its banks. She appears distraught, sometimes shivering, and waves down passing drivers, pleading for a ride home. Those who stop out of kindness claim she climbs into the back seat of the car, her clothes leaving the upholstery soaked. She remains eerily quiet during the drive, sometimes whispering her address in a faint, trembling voice. But when the car finally pulls up to the location she requests, the driver turns around only to discover the woman has vanished, leaving behind nothing but a damp puddle where she once sat. The legend spread quickly, becoming one of Dallas's most enduring ghost stories. Some say the Lady of the Lake is the spirit of a young woman who drowned in White Rock Lake decades ago, perhaps after a boating accident or a tragic fall into the water. Others believe she was a heartbroken bride-to-be who ended her own life in the lake's depths after being abandoned. There are even versions of the tale that suggest she was murdered and her body dumped in the lake. Her restless spirit doomed to wander the area forever. No matter the version, all share the same eerie conclusion. The lady cannot leave the waters that claimed her, and those who cross her path are merely given a fleeting glimpse of her sorrow before she vanishes back into the shadows. But the Lady of the Lake is not the only ghost said to haunt White Rock. Fishermen who spend long nights on the water report strange figures moving along the shoreline, They describe seeing shadowy shapes, walking slowly across the sandy edges of the lake, only to disappear when approached. Sometimes, when the lake is calm and still, splashes erupt from nowhere, as though someone or something has jumped into the water. When checked, no one is there. These incidents are often accompanied by a deep chill, as if the temperature around the lake drops suddenly in the presence of the unseen. Screams are another common report. Visitors claim to hear them echoing across the water late at night, sharp cries that seem to rise out of the depths before fading into silence. Some insist the screams are female, perhaps belonging to the lady herself, while others believe they may be connected to darker events in the area's past. White Rock Lake, like many bodies of water, has seen its share of drownings, accidents, and tragic deaths over the years, and some believe these restless spirits are forever tied to the place of their passing. Perhaps one of the eeriest aspects of the Lady of the Lake legend is the sheer consistency of the reports. Stories of phantom hitchhikers exist across the United States, but few are as deeply rooted in local lore as the one tied to White Rock. Even in modern times, new witnesses continue to come forward, describing encounters that echo those reported nearly a century ago. These accounts often come from ordinary people, drivers, joggers, and night fishermen who had no reason to expect the extraordinary. Many of them share small, unsettling details. The water-stained dress, the faint smell of lake water inside the car, or the way the lady's pale face seems almost luminous under the glow of headlights. Skeptics dismiss the stories as urban legend, fueled by imagination and the natural eeriness of a dark, quiet lake. They argue that fog, exhaustion, or reflections on the water can play tricks on the mind, creating the illusion of figures that aren't there. But those who have experienced the lady firsthand insist otherwise. To them, her presence is unmistakably real, a chilling reminder that something supernatural lingers in the shadows of White Rock Lake. The atmosphere of the lake itself only adds to the legend's power. By day, White Rock is alive, with activity. Sailboats drift across the surface. Joggers circle the trails, and families spread out picnic blankets under the shade of trees. But when dusk falls, the mood changes. The once busy shoreline grows quiet. The water takes on a glassy, reflective darkness, and the faint sound of wind rustling through the trees seems amplified in the silence. It is in this setting that the Lady of the Lake is most often seen, her pale figure appearing like a fragment of another world against the night. Whether she is the spirit of a drowned woman, a tragic bride, or simply a creation of collective imagination, the Lady of the Lake has become inseparable from the identity of White Rock. Her story is retold in books, newspapers, and even on ghost tours, ensuring that new generations know to watch the roads carefully when driving near the water after dark. For many, the possibility of encountering her is enough to keep them from venturing too close to the lake at night, while for others, the allure of seeing Dallas's most famous ghost draws them in. White Rock Lake is, at its heart, a place where beauty and unease coexist. Its waters glisten under the sun, but beneath that beauty lies an enduring story of sorrow, mystery, and the unexplained. Whether or not the Lady of the Lake is real, the countless witnesses who claim to have seen her ensure that her presence remains part of the lake's character. To this day, White Rock is more than just a place to enjoy nature. It is a place where the past lingers, where legends walk, and where a ghostly figure in white may be waiting for her next unsuspecting ride. Lake Pontchartrain in southeastern Louisiana is more than just a body of water. It is a place where history, tragedy, and legend converge in eerie harmony. Spanning over 600 square miles, it has served as a lifeline for the communities surrounding it, shaping culture and commerce alike. Yet beneath its vast surface and along its quiet shores lies a reputation steeped in mystery. Fishermen, travelers, and locals have passed down stories for generations about strange apparitions, haunting songs, and phantom lights dancing across its waters. The lake, serene and beautiful by day, becomes unsettling after nightfall, as if it transforms into a stage for the supernatural. Long before European settlers arrived, The indigenous peoples of the region held Lake Pontchartrain as sacred. Native American tribes, including the Choctaw and the Homa, lived along its shores, fishing its waters and telling stories of spirits tied to the natural world. Many believed the lake was a boundary between the living and the dead, where ancestral spirits would sometimes wander freely. This idea may have sparked the earliest whispers of ghostly presences lingering in the mists that rise from the water. Even today, there are reports of shadowy figures along the shoreline, glimpsed only for a fleeting moment before vanishing into thin air. With the arrival of settlers came new tragedies, including shipwrecks and drownings. The lake was a vital trade and transportation route, but storms could sweep across suddenly, capsizing small boats and scuttling vessels. Countless lives were lost, and many bodies were never recovered, claimed by the depths. Fishermen out late at night often tell of seeing glowing lights beneath the surface, as though lanterns from sunken ships still burn in the watery darkness. Some believe these lights are the restless souls of the drowned, still searching for a way home. One of the most enduring tales associated with Lake Pontchartrain is that of ghostly singing carried by the wind. On quiet nights, especially when the lake is still, some claim to hear voices rising in unison across the water. The songs are described as sorrowful and hauntingly beautiful, as if a chorus of the dead is calling out. Some say they are the voices of enslaved people who perished during transport across the lake, their suffering echoing eternally in the night air. Others believe the voices belong to sailors or fishermen who never made it back to shore. What chills listeners most is the way the sound seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, impossible to trace, yet impossible to ignore. There are also legends of phantom figures that rise from the water itself. Fishermen speak of encountering shadowy shapes wading through the lake, often waist deep, before dissolving into ripples and mist. Some describe these figures as native warriors, others as drowned victims of more recent tragedies. A few even claim to have seen glowing eyes staring at them from just above the waterline, watching silently before fading into the night. Many locals warned against being out on the lake alone after dark, for the spirits are said to be more active then, seeking out those who dare to disturb their rest. Adding to the mystery is the lake's connection to New Orleans, a city long associated with ghosts, voodoo, and spiritual energy. Stories from the city often spill into the waters of Lake Pontchartrain, blurring the line between urban legend and reality. Some say that practitioners of old rituals once used the lake as a site for offerings, drawing on its vast waters as a conduit to the other side. In this sense, the lake becomes not just a graveyard of the drowned, but also a spiritual channel, a place where the veil between worlds feels thin. Modern encounters continue to keep the legends alive. Drivers crossing the Long Causeway Bridge at night have reported strange sightings, phantom figures on the water, flickering lights below, or even a sudden mist that engulfs the road, obscuring everything but a pale glow in the distance. Some describe hearing footsteps on the bridge despite being alone, as though invisible travelers are crossing alongside them. Others have felt an oppressive weight in the air while pausing on the shore, as though unseen eyes were fixed upon them. Of all the lake's ghostly tales, the most chilling may be its atmosphere itself. Those who stand on the banks after dark often describe a deep, unsettling silence, broken only by lapping waves. It is not the peaceful quiet of nature, but a silence heavy with presence, as though the lake itself is aware and watching. Even seasoned fishermen, who have worked its waters for decades, admit that there are times they feel an inexplicable chill, a coldness that cuts deeper than the night air. Lake Pontchartrain is a place where beauty and dread coexist. By day, its waters glisten beneath the southern sun, a haven for recreation and relaxation. But when night falls, its true nature emerges, a haunted expanse where history's tragedies rise to the surface and the voices of the lost linger in the air. Whether it is the flickering of phantom lights, the sound of ghostly songs, or the fleeting vision of a shadow on the water, the lake continues to remind visitors that some stories never rest. It is not just a body of water, but a keeper of secrets, holding within its depths the echoes of the countless souls who never made it home. Lake George, nestled in the Adirondack Mountains of New York, is a place where natural beauty and tragic history intertwine, known today as a popular vacation destination. With sparkling waters and scenic shorelines drawing visitors from across the country, it also carries a far darker past. In the 1700s, its clear waters became the stage for violent battles, alliances, and betrayals between Native American tribes, colonial soldiers, and European powers. The land remembers blood spilled into the water, and the echoes of conflict still ripple through the lake's misty mornings and silent nights. Legends of hauntings here are as enduring as the lake itself. Visitors who come expecting only a tranquil getaway often leave with stories of ghostly encounters they cannot explain. One of the most chilling accounts involves sightings of phantom canoes gliding across the lake. Locals and tourists alike describe seeing boats cutting silently through the mist at dawn or dusk, with figures paddling in near-perfect silence. Yet when approached, these canoes vanish without a trace. Some say the shadowy figures are native warriors, continuing their eternal patrol, while others believe they are lost soldiers who drowned in the waters centuries ago. Campers along the lake's many coves often speak of hearing war cries echoing from the forests late at night. These cries, sometimes accompanied by the beat of phantom drums, stir the imagination and the fear of those who hear them. The sounds seem to roll across the surface of the water, fading in and out with the wind. Hikers camping along the shoreline report being awakened by these cries, only to step outside their tents and find nothing but silence and still water. For many, it feels less like imagination and more like the land itself is replaying the horrors of its past. One of the most persistent ghostly legends is that of spectral warriors who appear along the shoreline. Several visitors have described walking near the water and spotting shadowy figures standing motionless among the trees. Some say the figures are dressed in native attire, their faces painted, while others report men in colonial uniforms, rifles in hand. In every version, the figures remain silent, watching, before fading back into the forest or vanishing altogether. Witnesses are left with a chilling sense that the boundary between past and present is thin here, and that the lake has not yet released the spirits bound to it. Lake George's bloody past stems largely from its role in the French and Indian War, a brutal conflict that pitted European empires and their native allies against one another. Skirmishes and full-scale battles erupted along the shores, and countless men never returned home. Drowning was common as canoes overturned during ambushes, and soldiers often met their end not only in combat but in the cold embrace of the lake itself. This violent history may explain why so many paranormal experiences are concentrated here. It is as though the tragedies soaked into the soil and water, refusing to be forgotten. Fishermen, too, have reported eerie encounters on the lake. Some claim to see strange ripples moving across the surface at night, as though something invisible is gliding just beneath. Others have described hearing faint splashes that resemble paddles dipping into water, though no boat is ever seen. A few have even spoken of lights shimmering beneath the surface of glowing orbs that rise and fade, leading some to believe the spirits of the drowned linger below. To the superstitious, these lights are warnings, urging the living to respect the lake and its history. There is also a recurring tale of ghostly battles being reenacted on the lake's waters. On especially misty nights, boaters have reported hearing the clash of steel, the boom of muskets, and the cries of men in combat. Some even claim to see hazy silhouettes locked in battle, flickering like old film before disappearing entirely. The phenomenon has been compared to a stone skipped across time, where the most violent moments of Lake George's past replay themselves for brief, haunting glimpses. For locals who live along the water, the hauntings are part of the fabric of life. Many grow up hearing the stories from older generations. Cautionary tales about not venturing too far alone at night, or not mocking the history that lingers here. Tourists may scoff at the legends during the day, when the lake sparkles under the sun and families splash in its clear shallows. But when the fog rolls in and the shoreline grows quiet, even skeptics admit to feeling a weight in the air. as though unseen eyes are watching from both the forest and the water. The beauty of Lake George cannot be denied, is a place of summer vacations, boating adventures, and breathtaking scenery. Yet beneath its surface lies a reminder of bloodshed and sacrifice, of alliances broken and lives lost. Every ghostly canoe sighting, every phantom war cry, every vanishing figure on the shoreline is a whisper from that past. The lake seems unwilling to let its history slip away into obscurity. Visitors leave with photographs of sunsets and mountains, but some also carry stories of eerie sounds, strange lights, and fleeting glimpses of figures that should not exist. For them, Lake George is more than a picturesque getaway, is a living reminder that the past lingers, restless, just beyond the edge of sight. And on quiet nights, when the waters are still and the mist curls low, the boundary between the living and the dead feels far too thin. Lake Michigan, one of the 5 Great Lakes, stretches across Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, forming a vast expanse of water, both beautiful and foreboding. By day, it shimmers under the sun, drawing tourists to its sandy beaches, boating excursions, and lakeside towns. By night, however, and particularly within the notorious area known as the Michigan Triangle, the lake's reputation shifts from scenic to sinister. Much like the Bermuda Triangle, this stretch of water has long been associated with disappearances, mysterious phenomena, and ghostly apparitions that defy explanation. The Michigan Triangle, roughly delineated by points near Ludington, Benton Harbor, and the city of Milwaukee, is infamous for unexplained shipwrecks, vanished planes, and strange electromagnetic anomalies. Mariners tell stories of compasses spinning wildly, radios cutting out, and sudden fogs rolling in that seem almost alive. Ships that vanish without a trace only add to the lake's chilling mystique. And even today, sailors and fishermen speak in hushed tones about the unexplained forces that lurk within these waters. Among the most haunting chapters in Lake Michigan's history is the tragedy of the SS Eastland. On July 24, 1915, the passenger ship was docked in the Chicago River, preparing to take hundreds on a company outing. Without warning, the vessel listed to one side and capsized, plunging over 800 passengers into the water. Many were trapped inside the overturned hull, and within minutes, chaos and screams filled the river. Survivors later told of a strange sensation, as if something unseen was pulling at them beneath the surface, dragging them further into the cold water even after they had reached the riverbanks. Rescuers, too, reported eerie occurrences, describing shadowy shapes beneath the waves that moved independently of currents and debris. The Eastland disaster remains one of the deadliest maritime tragedies in U.S. history, and its haunting echoes linger in the lake to this day. Even decades later, locals and visitors report ghostly phenomena linked to Lake Michigan's dark past. Beachgoers along the shore have described seeing phantom figures floating just beneath the water, motionless yet disturbingly human in shape. Some claim that during certain foggy mornings, faint cries and splashes can be heard across otherwise silent beaches, as though the lake itself is replaying the horrors of its past disasters. Fishermen recount glimpsing shadowy forms darting beneath their boats, large and dark, disappearing whenever approached. Many believe these are spirits of those who drowned, bound to the lake and unable to leave its depths. The Michigan Triangle also produces spectral sightings of ghost ships. Mariners have told of entire vessels appearing in the distance, cutting across the water with sails or lights glowing faintly in the mist. The ships often appear perfectly intact, yet when approached, they vanish without a trace. Some speculate that these phantom ships are remnants of vessels lost to storms, the lake's submerged histories manifesting briefly before disappearing back into the waters. Others see them as warnings, signs of Lake Michigan's unpredictability and danger. Aerial phenomena are another layer of the lake's mysteries. Pilots who fly over the Michigan Triangle sometimes report disorienting compass readings, engine malfunctions, and sudden patches of fog that appear without warning. Some small aircraft have vanished entirely, their wreckage never recovered. The combination of water, weather, and perhaps unexplained forces, creates an environment where ordinary navigation becomes treacherous, and the lake seems almost to have a will of its own. Beyond the triangle, Lake Michigan's history is full of drowned vessels, shipwrecks, and human tragedies. Storms can sweep in suddenly, creating towering waves that swallow even experienced sailors. Fishermen and recreational boaters alike tell stories of feeling a presence in the water, as though unseen hands brush against a hull or tug at lines. The lake's vastness and depth, over 900 feet in some areas, make recovery of lost vessels or bodies difficult, leaving space for the imagination to fill with ghostly possibilities. The Eastland disaster, however, continues to dominate local folklore. Survivors' accounts, preserved in newspapers and oral histories, describe seeing apparitions in the water even years after the event. Some who swam near the site claim to feel cold hands on their legs, pulling them downward, or to see fleeting shadows pass beneath them. Divers exploring the riverbed where the Eastland sank report an uncanny quiet, almost as if the water itself holds memories. A weight of sorrow so dense that it seems to resist intrusion. Even today, Lake Michigan's shores are alive with stories of the unexplained. Late at night, joggers along the beaches have heard voices that vanish when approached. Campers have reported flickering lights moving across the lake, not consistent with distant towns or boats. Fishermen tell of strange ripples and disturbances in otherwise calm water. And some claim that the lake's surface occasionally seems to reflect not the sky, but shadows of events long past. The lake's vastness allows tragedy to coexist with beauty, creating an unsettling juxtaposition that draws curiosity and caution in equal measure. Lake Michigan is, in essence, a place of duality. By day, it offers leisure and recreation, shimmering under the sun, with inviting waters and sandy shores. By night, and especially within the Michigan Triangle, it becomes a repository for tragedy, mystery, and the unexplained. From ghost ships to phantom figures, from cries of the drowned to the lingering presence of lost souls, the lake is alive with stories that defy easy explanation. For those who visit, Lake Michigan is more than a body of water. It is a keeper of memories, a place where history and mystery intermingle. The next time the fog rolls in over the triangle, or a shadow passes beneath a boat, or a faint glow appears on the horizon, it serves as a reminder that this lake holds secrets as deep as its waters, and that some spirits never truly leave. Its beauty is undeniable, but for those who listen closely, Lake Michigan whispers of loss, tragedy, and the restless souls that linger beneath its vast surface. Lake Tahoe, straddling the border of California and Nevada, is world-renowned for its stunningly clear waters and breathtaking alpine scenery. Tourists flock to its shores year-round to ski the surrounding mountains, sail across its sparkling expanse, or relax along its beaches. But beneath its pristine surface lies a darker reputation, one steeped in legend, mystery, and chilling stories that refuse to stay submerged. Lake Tahoe is not only a natural wonder, it is a place where history, crime, and supernatural lore converge, leaving behind whispers of the dead and sightings that defy explanation. Among the most notorious tales associated with Lake Tahoe are those of mobsters using the lake as a watery grave. During the Prohibition era and well into the 20th century, the lake's frigid, deep waters would preserve the remains, making discovery unlikely. Over the years, divers and thrill-seekers have claimed to encounter horrifying evidence of these acts. Some describe seeing human skeletal remains suspended eerily in the dark waters, almost as if frozen in time. Others have reported items of clothing, shoes, or personal effects floating just beneath the surface. Remnants of lives cut short and left to linger beneath the cold depths. These grisly discoveries feed the lake's modern aura of unease. Even experienced divers admit that the deeper they go, the more oppressive the water feels. The lake reaches depths of over 1,600 feet in some areas, and the clarity that makes Tahoe so beautiful by day transforms into a dark, almost impenetrable void below the surface. Divers often speak of feeling watched, or of glimpsing shapes moving in the periphery of their vision, only to vanish when they turn. Some have emerged from their dives with an unshakable sense of dread, convinced that the lake holds more secrets than anyone could ever uncover. The eerie reputation of Lake Tahoe is not limited to human crime. Long before settlers arrived, the Native American Washoe people told stories of powerful water spirits inhabiting the lake. According to legend, these spirits could be both protective and deadly. Some tales describe entities that lure careless swimmers or fishermen into the water, where they are never seen again. Ghostly lights have been reported dancing across the surface at night, and strange shapes have been glimpsed just beneath the waves, as though something unseen is observing the living. Many who encounter these phenomena describe a sense of being pulled toward the depths, a weight that cannot be explained by currents or wind. Sightings of ghostly figures along the shore are also common. Locals and visitors alike have reported seeing pale, translucent shapes standing in shallow water or drifting just above the surface. Some appear human, while others are more abstract, shifting in ways that defy physical explanation. Hikers and campers near the lake often speak of hearing splashing where no one is swimming, or seeing ripples form on glassy waters in the dead of night. Even in daylight, when the lake appears safe and inviting, the faint sensation of being watched is almost palpable to those who know the stories. Lake Tahoe has also been linked to mysterious disappearances. Over the decades, swimmers, boaters, and hikers have vanished without explanation. Some cases are chalked up to accidents, hypothermia, or drowning. But locals and paranormal enthusiasts suggest that the lake's restless energy plays a role. The combination of deep, cold waters, sudden storms, and its history as a crime dumping ground creates an environment where tragedy seems almost inevitable. Many believe that those who disappear are drawn into the lake's shadowed depths, their spirits trapped beneath the waves. Even boaters report unsettling experiences. Late at night, some have seen lights moving beneath the surface, too uniform to be natural reflections, yet too elusive to identify. Others describe an unnatural calm overtaking the water, accompanied by sudden chills and a heavy stillness that makes navigating the lake feel perilous. There are tales of boats rocking on glassy waters, as if an unseen hand is guiding them, or passengers hearing faint voices calling their names from beneath the waves. These reports reinforce the perception that Lake Tahoe is not merely a scenic destination, it is a living, restless entity, aware of those who venture too close. Despite its haunting reputation, Lake Tahoe continues to draw visitors seeking its beauty, skiing slopes, and outdoor adventures. The lake's crystal-clear waters are deceptively serene, hiding a history of violence, tragedy, and supernatural lore. Many who visit by day remain oblivious to the tales whispered by locals and passed down through generations. But by night, the lake takes on a different character. Fog rolls across its surface, moonlight reflects off the water in ghostly patterns, and the wind carries an almost imperceptible murmur of past events, lost lives, criminal acts, and spirits that refuse to rest. The allure of Tahoe lies not only in its natural grandeur, but also in the thrill of its mysteries. The stories of mobsters, ghostly water spirits, and unexplained disappearances serve as reminders that beneath the lake's surface, the past is never truly gone. Visitors may sail, swim, or dive with confidence by day, but the lake's deeper, darker nature waits, patient and unyielding, beneath the surface. Those who have glimpsed its hidden truths often speak of an uneasy reverence, a sense that beauty and terror coexist here in equal measure. Lake Tahoe is a place of contradictions. Its waters are inviting yet dangerous, its landscapes breathtaking yet filled with echoes of tragedy. Ghostly lights, submerged remains, and the legends of water spirits ensure that the lake's reputation as a haunted place persists. It is a site where history and mystery intertwine, where past crimes, natural danger, and native lore converge, and where the restless energy of the depths is palpable to those who venture near. To visit Lake Tahoe is to witness not only nature and splendor, but also a chilling reminder that beneath the clear, blue surface, secrets linger, silent, cold, and eternal. Lake Winnipesaukee, nestled in the heart of New Hampshire's Lakes region, is celebrated for its serene beauty, picturesque islands, and clear, cold waters. Tourists flock to its shores each year for boating, fishing, and summer retreats. Yet beneath its idyllic surface lies a darker side, steeped in legend and the supernatural. For generations, locals have whispered stories of ghostly apparitions, phantom fires, and strange, unexplained sounds that seem to echo across the water, hinting at a restless presence that refuses to be forgotten. One of the most commonly reported phenomena involves ghostly figures paddling across the lake in canoes. Witnesses describe seeing dim, shadowy silhouettes gliding through the mist before disappearing entirely. The figures appear human but are often unnaturally still or move with a fluid, otherworldly grace. Canoes seem to emerge from the fog without a sound, and when observers attempt to approach or call out, both the vessel and its occupant vanish as if swallowed by the lake itself. Some suggest these are the spirits of native tribes who once lived along the shores of Winnipesaukee, guardians of the waters, meant to warn the living of unseen dangers. Others believe they are lost travelers or fishermen from long ago, unable to leave the lake's grasp. Phantom campfires are another eerie occurrence reported on the lake's many islands. Hikers and boaters have described seeing small flickering flames, sometimes accompanied by the faint smell of burning wood, on islands that are otherwise deserted. From a distance, the fires appear inviting, casting a soft, warm glow across the water. Yet, when approached, the light disappears, leaving no evidence of smoke, ash, or embers. Some attribute these spectral fires to ceremonial gatherings of the past, perhaps tied to Native American rituals or early settlers who perished along the lake. Locals warn that these campfires are often a sign of lingering spirits, meant to remind the living that some histories refuse to fade quietly. Sounds are a constant source of unease around Lake Winnipesaukee. Visitors have reported hearing phantom drums, low chants, and occasional cries echoing across the water, especially during early mornings or late evenings when the lake is still. The noises carry with an uncanny clarity, yet the source is never found. Some fishermen recount moments when the sounds rise and fall as if telling a story, only to vanish entirely, leaving an unsettling silence in their wake. These auditory phenomena have been linked to Native American legends, with many believing that the lake's spirits use sound to communicate warnings or reminders of the past. The lake's haunted reputation is further strengthened by its connection to tragic events throughout history. Settlers and early visitors often faced harsh winters, treacherous waters, and unpredictable storms that claimed lives. Over time, accidents and drownings became part of the lake's legacy, intertwining with native legends and creating a rich tapestry of supernatural lore. Locals claim that during certain weather conditions, dense fog, sudden storms, or calm, glassy nights, the veil between the living and the dead becomes thin, making encounters with the lake's restless spirits more likely. Boat captains and ferry operators have also shared chilling stories. Some have reported sudden, inexplicable chills sweeping across their vessels, or feeling as though they are being silently watched by invisible eyes. On rare occasions, crews have seen entire apparitions walking along the shoreline, sometimes resembling native warriors or colonial settlers, moving deliberately before vanishing as mysteriously as they appeared. These experiences, while frightening, are so consistent across decades that many residents believe there is truth behind the tales, rather than mere imagination. Tourists and locals alike have experienced the lake's uncanny presence while swimming or paddling. Swimmers sometimes feel sudden, inexplicable pulls beneath the water, as though invisible hands or currents are tugging at them. Paddlers report their boats being pushed or diverted by unseen forces, or noticing ripples forming in perfectly calm water, as if someone or something just passed by. These subtle yet unnerving interactions with the water reinforce the idea that Lake Winnipesaukee is more than a scenic destination. It is a place alive with memory, energy, and history that refuses to be ignored. The lake's islands, many of which are uninhabited, are particularly associated with haunting. Some of the smaller islets are said to be the sites of long-forgotten settlements or ceremonial grounds. Visitors who camp or explore these areas at night occasionally report strange lights, eerie whispers, and sudden drops in temperature. The experiences often leave them shaken. A reminder that even in one of New England's most peaceful settings, remnants of the past linger with an intensity that cannot be denied. Despite its haunted reputation, Lake Winnipesaukee remains a beloved destination for recreation and natural beauty. Its waters, reflecting the sky and surrounding forests, seem inviting and tranquil by day. But those who listen closely to the lake's stories, or who venture out in misty mornings and quiet evenings, will find a deeper, more unsettling character. Ghostly canoes, phantom fires, and the echoes of drums and chants serve as constant reminders that Lake Winnipesaukee is more than a picturesque escape. It is a repository of memory, history, and restless spirits. For centuries, the lake has held the stories of those who lived, died, and wandered along its shores. Its haunting legacy is woven into every ripple, mist, and shadow. Whether it is the spectral paddlers, the elusive campfires, or the unearthly sounds drifting across the water, Lake Winnipesaukee offers a chilling lesson. Beneath its calm, clear surface lies a world where the past never truly rests, where the spirits of the dead still linger, and where the lake's beauty conceals a quiet, relentless unease. Visiting Lake Winnipesaukee is not just an encounter with nature, it is a brush with the echoes of time, an experience that combines breathtaking scenery with the haunting presence of those who came before. In the quiet moments, as mist curls along the water and shadows stretch across the shore, the lake's secrets seem to stir, reminding all who witness them that some legends are far too persistent to fade into history. Crater Lake, nestled in the heart of Oregon's Cascade Mountains, is a natural wonder of breathtaking beauty and haunting mystery. Formed over 7,700 years ago when the massive eruption of Mount Mazama left a collapsed volcanic caldera, the lake is renowned for its deep, cobalt blue waters and near-perfect circular rim. It is one of the deepest lakes in the world, plunging over 1,900 feet, and its serene surface belies a chilling reputation that has persisted for centuries. Native American legends, explorers' accounts, and modern visitors all tell stories suggesting that Crater Lake is more than a geological marvel. It is a place where spirits dwell, and the veil between worlds feels perilously thin. The Klamath tribes, who have lived in the region for generations, tell cautionary tales about the lake's spiritual significance. According to tribal lore, the lake is sacred but dangerous, a site where the physical world meets the spiritual. The spirits of ancestors, the guardians of the mountain, and even more malevolent entities are said to roam the cliffs, forests, and waters. Some stories describe the lake as a place of punishment or reflection, where disrespectful behavior or intrusion can draw the attention of unseen forces. Visitors today often remark on a sense of unease when standing near the edge of the caldera, as if invisible eyes are watching, and the wind carries faint whispers that vanish when approached. Those who venture along the rim trails have reported unsettling encounters with ghostly figures, appearing for just a few heartbeats before fading into the shadows. Some claim these figures resemble Klamath ancestors, standing in traditional garb, staring silently at intruders, and then disappearing without a trace. Others describe shapes that are more difficult to interpret, amorphous shadows that seem to shift in and out of reality, lingering at the tree line or along the rim of the lake as though keeping watch. These encounters, while brief, leave an indelible impression on those who experience them, often accompanied by a profound sense of being drawn toward the water below. Visitors frequently report glowing eyes peering through the dense forests surrounding Crater Lake. The lights appear without any source, sometimes multiple sets, flickering in the underbrush or along steep slopes. They move in ways inconsistent with wildlife, appearing and disappearing with eerie timing. Some hikers describe feeling watched for hours, hearing the rustle of leaves or snapping of branches even when no one is nearby. It is as though the forest itself is alive, harboring spirits that test the courage and resolve of those who venture too far. Crater Lake is also notorious for the sensations it evokes in those near its edge. Many describe a compulsion to approach the water, a pull so strong it feels almost magnetic. Some report moments of vertigo or an inexplicable urge to look down into the impossibly deep blue, as if the lake itself is calling to them. There are accounts of visitors who swear they felt a presence behind them, an unseen hand or force guiding them closer to the rim, urging them to peer into the abyss. Whether the pull is spiritual, psychological, or an eerie combination of both, it reinforces the sense that the lake is more than a mere body of water. It's an entity with its own consciousness, demanding respect and caution. Ghostly sounds often accompany these experiences. Travelers report hearing whispers, chanting, or the faint echoes of footsteps along trails where no one else is present. The wind can carry these sounds, but their timing is peculiar, responding to human presence in ways that defy natural explanation. Some describe low, mournful calls coming from the water itself, as if the lake is lamenting a loss or attempting to communicate. Others hear more urgent noises, resembling warnings or cries meant to repel intruders. Whether real or imagined, these auditory phenomena amplify the sense of Crater Lake as a living, haunted place. Divers and kayakers who have ventured onto the lake rarely report direct encounters with spirits, but many speak of an oppressive atmosphere. The water is unusually cold, deep, and dark, creating a sense of isolation even on calm, sunny days. Those who have submerged themselves describe a strange awareness, a feeling that something unseen is observing them from beneath. Objects occasionally seem to drift unnaturally, and small currents form where none should exist. The lake's immense depth and clarity make the phenomenon all the more unsettling. What is below the surface is hidden, vast, and unknowable. Despite its terrifying reputation, Crater Lake continues to attract thousands of visitors each year. Its natural beauty is undeniable. From the mirror-like reflections of the surrounding cliffs to the brilliant blue water that shifts with the light. Yet for those who linger after sunset or hike the rim during foggy mornings, the lake's darker side emerges. Glowing eyes in the forest, ghostly figures along the cliffs, and the persistent pull toward the water remind visitors that Crater Lake is a place where the past lingers and the boundary between the living and the dead is thin. Crater Lake is not merely haunted in the traditional sense. It is a nexus where history, natural wonder, and spiritual energy converge. Native legends, geological forces, and the human imagination intertwine, creating an environment charged with both awe and fear. Those who encounter the lake's mysteries often leave with stories of unexplainable sights, sounds, and sensations experiences that remain with them long after they have departed. For generations, the lake has inspired reverence and caution. Standing at the edge, looking down into the unfathomable depths, visitors are reminded that some places on Earth are not fully theirs to understand. Crater Lake is a realm where beauty masks danger, where every shadow might conceal a spirit, and where the water's depths hold secrets too profound for human comprehension. It is a place of awe, wonder, and fear, a reminder that some landscapes are not just scenic, but haunted, alive with the echoes of the past and the lingering presence of the unseen. Lake Havasu, a striking man-made reservoir in the deserts of western Arizona, is widely celebrated for its scenic beauty, recreational boating, and the transplanted London Bridge, which spans its sparkling waters. Each year, tourists and locals alike flock to the lake to enjoy water sports, fishing, and sunsets that set the desert horizon ablaze. Yet beneath this sun-soaked, lively surface lies a layer of mystery and chilling folklore that few dare to speak of openly. Beyond its recreational allure, Lake Havasu carries tales of ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and a history that seems to haunt the waters and the famous bridge that stretches across them. The London Bridge, originally constructed in the 1830s and famously dismantled and transported to Arizona in the late 1960s, is at the center of much of the lake's haunted lore. Locals and visitors alike have reported seeing ghostly figures walking along the bridge at night, dressed in clothing reminiscent of 19th-century London. Some describe them lingering at the bridge's edges, gazing down at the water below before vanishing suddenly, leaving no trace of footsteps or presence behind. The sightings are not limited to fleeting shadows. They are distinct and often accompanied by a sense of unease, as if the figures are aware of those watching. Many believe these spirits are connected to the bridge's original construction in London, when laborers, masons, and engineers worked tirelessly to erect the iconic structure. It is said that some workers lost their lives in accidents during the bridge's construction, and that their spirits never left. According to legend, when the bridge was dismantled and transported across the Atlantic to Arizona, the spirits traveled with it, tethered to the stones themselves. Now, hundreds of miles from their original home, they are said to haunt the bridge and its surrounding waters. Their presence a reminder that some souls cannot be uprooted. Boaters on Lake Havasu have long reported strange encounters that defy rational explanation. On quiet nights, when the wind is still and the water glimmers under the moonlight, some have seen figures standing along the bridge or walking near the shore, only to disappear into thin air as boats approach. Others have described faint shadows moving beneath the water's surface, as if something unseen is following their vessels. The eerie phenomena extend beyond mere visual sightings. Many have reported sudden drops in temperature near the bridge, inexplicable chills that creep up the spine, and a heavy, oppressive feeling that seems to hang over the lake after sunset. Local legends also suggest that the lake itself carries a restless energy. Before the construction of the reservoir in the 1930s, the land along the Colorado River, where Lake Havasu now sits, was harsh desert terrain, sparsely populated, and home to various travelers, settlers, and native peoples. Stories tell of those who met untimely deaths along the riverbed through accidents, disease, or violent sand, whose spirits became tied to the land now submerged beneath the water. Divers and swimmers have occasionally reported glimpsing human shapes moving beneath the calm surface, flickers of shadows that vanish the moment they are investigated. Many who experience these phenomena describe a sensation of being watched, as if the lake itself is alive, observing their movements and warning them to respect its history. The combination of the transplanted bridge and the lake's mysterious energy has created a unique nexus for ghostly encounters. Visitors often recount seeing a figure emerge from the shadows, glance toward the water or the shoreline, and then step back into the darkness without a sound. Some have reported hearing the faint echo of footsteps or muffled voices along the bridge, even when the area is completely deserted. Campers and nighttime photographers near the water occasionally describe feeling sudden, inexplicable pulls, a magnetic draw toward the bridge or the shoreline that defies physical explanation. Even modern-day tourists have been affected by the lake's eerie reputation. Kayakers and paddleboarders have described feeling cold spots in the middle of the water, areas where no wind or currents could account for the sudden chill. Others have reported strange ripples forming around their boats, as if something just beneath the surface is brushing past, yet no fish, aquatic animal, or mechanical disturbance is present. These accounts reinforce the idea that Lake Havasu is not just a recreational site. It is a place where history, tragedy, and lingering spirits converge, creating an atmosphere that is both captivating and unsettling. The bridge itself seems to amplify these phenomena. Its massive stone blocks, each carefully numbered and transported from London, are said to retain an energy of their own. Some paranormal enthusiasts believe that the spirits attached to the bridge are drawn to the precise arrangement of the stones, moving between them or using the structure as a vantage point over the lake. Visitors often report a sense of being watched as they walk across the bridge at night, or a sudden heaviness in the air that dissipates once they leave its span. Even during the daytime, when Lake Havasu is bustling with boaters, tourists, and families, subtle hints of the supernatural persist. Shadows darting near the shoreline, sudden flickers of movement along the water, or inexplicable chills can remind the observant that the lake has a history far older and far stranger than its modern amenities suggest. Many believe that the combination of the lake's past tragedies, the transplanted bridge, and the desert environment has created a unique haunting unlike any other in the United States. Lake Havasu is at once a place of beauty and mystery. Its blue waters and sun-drenched shores draw countless visitors each year. Yet beneath that scenic exterior lies a lingering sense of the past, ghostly figures, spectral footsteps, and the eerie presence of spirits from London's original bridge construction serve as reminders that some histories cannot be left behind. The lake, the bridge, and the desert converge to form a landscape where the living brush against the remnants of the dead, and where the past continues to echo in the present. Lake Okeechobee, the largest freshwater lake in Florida, is a place of immense natural beauty and eerie tragedy. Spanning over 730 square miles, its vast waters stretch across the flat landscape of South Florida, providing habitat for countless species of wildlife and serving as a vital resource for fishing, agriculture, and recreation. Yet beneath its placid surface lies a history steeped in grief, disaster, and lingering spirits. The lake is haunted, some say, not by vague apparitions or playful phantoms, but by the very souls of those lost to one of the deadliest natural disasters in American history, the hurricanes of the 1920s. In 1926 and again in 1928, massive hurricanes swept across South Florida, unleashing devastating floodwaters that overwhelmed the levees surrounding Lake Okeechobee. Thousands of residents in the low-lying areas around the lake perished as the waters surged into towns and farmland. Entire communities were swallowed overnight, and countless lives were lost without a trace. Bodies were carried into the lake or left among debris. Many never recovered. To this day, the scale of the disaster leaves a haunting imprint on the region, and locals claim that the spirits of the drowned remain tethered to the water, mourning the lives lost and warning the living of the lake's volatile nature. Fishermen and boaters on Lake Okeechobee often report strange, unsettling experiences. During storms or even on calm, overcast days, some have seen ghostly figures struggling in the water, arms flailing as though caught in a current that isn't there. These figures vanish the instant anyone tries to approach, leaving only ripples behind. Some witnesses describe fleeting glimpses of faces peering above the surface, mouths open in silent screams, eyes wide with terror. The experiences are so vivid that those who see them are often left shaken, haunted by the feeling that the lake is alive with sorrow. The atmosphere around Lake Okeechobee is said to be heavy with grief. Locals report an oppressive feeling of dread when approaching the water during storms, as though the air itself is charged with the collective memory of death and despair. In particular, the nights leading up to or during sudden storms are described as especially unsettling. People who live nearby often hear ghostly screams carried across the wind, distant cries that seem to echo from the water and the surrounding marshlands. The sounds are chillingly human and impossible to ignore, yet when investigated, no one is found. Some suggest that these are the voices of the lost, replaying their final moments in the chaos of the hurricanes. In addition to auditory phenomena, many speak of visual hauntings. Mists often rise off the lake at dawn or dusk, forming shapes that resemble human figures. Some claim to see entire families walking along the shore, reaching out as if pleading for help, only to dissolve into fog as the sun rises. Others describe shadowy silhouettes gliding across the water in places far from any human presence. Fishermen have reported their lines being tugged inexplicably, or boats rocking gently without wind or current, as if unseen hands are guiding them. These eerie occurrences reinforce the notion that Lake Okeechobee is a place where the boundary between life and death is thin. Local legends also speak of ghostly warnings. Residents have told stories of boats being inexplicably pushed away from dangerous areas, or of lights appearing on the water that seem to lead travelers toward safer paths. In some versions of the story, away from them entirely. Some claim that these guiding lights are the spirits of those who once lived along the lake, attempting to protect the living from repeating history. Others believe the lake harbors vengeful or restless spirits, punishing the unwary by dragging them into the depths, continuing the tragedy of the hurricanes in spectral form. The aftermath of the 1920s hurricanes still shapes the folklore surrounding the lake. It is said that during particularly low water levels, ghostly remnants of these towns can be glimpsed beneath the surface, eerily intact, as if frozen in time. Some locals recount seeing phantom structures or boats lingering in the water where real ones were lost decades ago. These submerged memories serve as constant reminders that Lake Okeechobee is more than a body of water. It is a monument to lives lost and histories submerged. Visitors who stay near the lake after dark often describe an unsettling silence punctuated by sudden noises. The call of birds, the splash of fish, or the rustle of reeds can take on an eerie quality, sounding like footsteps or cries. Campers, especially those who venture into isolated areas along the lake, occasionally report glimpsing figures standing motionless in the shadows, watching silently before vanishing. The encounters are rarely violent, but they are profoundly unnerving, leaving a lingering awareness of the lake's tragic past. Lake Okeechobee's haunting is not limited to human perception. The water itself seems to react to the presence of witnesses. Boats that appear stable can rock suddenly. Ripples form without wind, and currents can shift unpredictably. Swimmers report feeling unseen tugs on their limbs, as though something beneath is aware of their movements. The water, still and dark, seems to hold the weight of its history, pressing upward with memories too heavy to release. For those who visit Lake Okeechobee, the experience is as much about its tragic past as its natural beauty. Its wide expanse, calm in fair weather and turbulent in storms, carries the echoes of countless lives lost. Ghostly screams, shadowy figures, and mysterious tugs on boats and lines remind all who approach that the lake is not just water, it's memory, grief, and lingering sorrow. Lake Okeechobee is a place where history refuses to remain buried. Its vast, flat waters and surrounding marshes hold the spirits of those who perished in one of Florida's most devastating disasters. The cries carried across the wind, the glimpses of figures struggling in the depths, and the oppressive, to stand on its shores is to feel the weight of the past, to hear whispers of lost lives, and to sense that, beneath the calm surface, the lake remembers everything. Flathead Lake, stretching across northwestern Montana, is renowned for its vast size, clear waters, and stunning mountainous backdrop. As one of the largest natural freshwater lakes in the western United States, it draws visitors for boating, fishing, and camping. But beneath its serene surface and picturesque surroundings lies a history steeped in mystery and the supernatural. Wild tales of a serpent-like monster occasionally capture the imagination of thrill-seekers. The lake, its true eerie reputation, stems from the ghostly activity reported by those who venture near its waters and forests. Long before settlers arrived, the area around Flathead Lake was home to Native American tribes, particularly the Salish and Kootenai peoples. Legends speak of spirits tied to the water, often described as protective or restless depending on human behavior. Locals say that the souls of those who drowned or suffered tragic fates in the lake still linger, particularly on moonless nights when the darkness amplifies the lake's natural mysteries. Fishermen, campers, and boaters alike have described encounters that suggest the lake is more than a peaceful retreat. It is a place where the past refuses to rest. Boaters on Flathead Lake have frequently reported sightings of phantom canoes gliding silently across the water. These apparitions often appear in the pre-dawn hours or at twilight, moving without oars and leaving no wake behind them. Some describe seeing shadowy figures paddling in silence, their faces obscured by mist or darkness. When approached, the canoes vanish as if swallowed by the lake itself. The encounters are unsettling, not merely because of their spectral nature, but because they seem to emerge from the collective memory of the lake, a manifestation of lost lives and untold stories. Low chanting, rhythmic and haunting, sometimes drifts through the trees on quiet nights. The voices appear human, but the words are unintelligible, and the source remains elusive. Some speculate that these sounds are the remnants of native rituals, echoing across time, or the lamentations of spirits who met untimely deaths in the lake. Others suggest a more sinister origin, that the lake itself amplifies grief and unrest, turning the memories of tragedy into audible warnings for those who wander too close. shadowy figures have been observed along the shore and in the water. At times, campers and hikers see silhouettes standing at the water's edge, perfectly still, watching from the darkness. When approached, the figures vanish into trees or mist, leaving behind only the sensation of being observed. Boaters report moments when the surface of the lake ripples without wind or current, as if unseen hands are moving beneath, and swimmers sometimes feel sudden tugs at their limbs, a subtle but unmistakable sign that the water is not entirely empty. Flathead Lake's connection to native history adds another layer of haunting. Stories passed down through generations speak of drownings, battles, and spiritual ceremonies performed along its shores. Some believe that these tragic events have bound spirits to the water, making the lake a resting place that is simultaneously sacred and unsettled. On moonless nights, the energy of the lake is said to be strongest, with the presence of these spirits felt most acutely. People describe an almost magnetic pull toward the center of the lake, a feeling that something unseen is drawing attention to the waters where lives were lost. Even on bright, clear days, the lake carries an air of quiet unease. The fog that occasionally rises from the water can take on eerie shapes, forming what look like figures in the mist. Boaters and hikers have described fleeting glimpses of faces reflected in the waves or shadows moving just beyond the tree line. These encounters are fleeting but leave lasting impressions, making visitors aware that Flathead Lake holds more than just natural beauty. The serenity of the waters conceals a depth of history and supernatural activity that cannot be ignored. Locals often caution visitors about certain areas of the lake. Remote coves and islands, accessible only by boat, are considered hotspots for ghostly phenomena. Swimmers report feeling invisible currents pulling them toward deeper waters, while those camping nearby hear whispers that rise and fall like the wind through the pines. Some believe these areas were once sites of ritual or tragedy, and the energy of the events lingers, manifesting in ways that are perceptible to the living. The lake is also known for sudden, inexplicable changes in weather and water behavior. Calm waters can churn without warning, fog can roll in rapidly, and temperatures may drop inexplicably, creating an atmosphere of heightened tension. Many who have experienced these changes while witnessing other paranormal phenomena describe a sense that the lake is alive in some way, responding to the presence of humans and reminding them that it holds dominion over all who enter its realm. Flathead Lake's haunted reputation is not limited to visual or auditory experiences. People often report a profound emotional effect after encountering its mysteries. A sense of unease, melancholy, or even dread lingers long after leaving the lake, as if the spirits tethered to its waters have made their presence felt in a way that cannot be erased. Those who spend time on the lake learn to respect it, not only for its size and beauty, but for the unseen forces that seem to watch over it. Despite its eerie reputation, Flathead Lake remains a popular destination for visitors seeking adventure, solitude, or natural splendor. Yet the stories persist. Phantom canoes gliding across the water, shadowy figures along the shore, strange chanting in the woods, and the deep, almost magnetic pull felt on moonless nights. The lake is a place where nature, history, and the supernatural intersect, where the memories of the past remain vivid and potent, and where the spirits of those long gone continue to leave their mark. Flathead Lake is a reminder that beauty and terror can coexist. Its vast, clear waters, surrounded by forested mountains, conceal a history that is both sacred and haunted. The cries, chants, and spectral forms that appear in the mist serve as echoes of the past, a testament to lives lost, spirits unsettled, and a lake that refuses to be simply admired. To spend time on Flathead Lake is to encounter a world where history lingers, where the water remembers, and where the supernatural is never far from the surface. Devil's Lake, nestled within the rocky terrain of Wisconsin's Baraboo Range, is a natural marvel that draws thousands of visitors each year. Known for its towering quartzite cliffs, clear waters, and sprawling trails, it is a place of breathtaking beauty and serene landscapes. Yet behind the picturesque vistas lies a darker reputation, one rooted in Native American legends. Eerie sightings, and unexplainable phenomena that have earned the lake its ominous name. For centuries, stories have circulated suggesting that Devil's Lake is more than a mere body of water. It is a place where the natural and supernatural intersect, and where the boundary between the living and otherworldly realms grows thin. The name Devil's Lake is said to originate from the Ho-Chunk people, who long inhabited the region. According to tribal lore, the lake is Spirit Lake, a sacred and dangerous site, but early European settlers misinterpreted the stories, believing it to be cursed or inhabited by evil forces. The lake was considered bottomless, a mysterious abyss connected to other realms beyond human understanding. Legends speak of spirits bound to the water, some protective, others restless or vengeful, lingering near the cliffs and in the surrounding forests. These tales persist today, shaping the eerie reputation that draws paranormal enthusiasts and adventurous visitors alike. Campers and hikers report unnerving encounters that suggest the lake is haunted. On quiet nights, glowing red eyes are sometimes seen just above the water, reflecting in the still surface like spectral lanterns. These orbs appear to float independently, moving slowly across the lake before vanishing without explanation. Witnesses describe a sense of being watched, a prickling unease that grows as the eyes remain fixed upon them. Some hikers claim the eyes follow them even as they climb the trails along the cliffs, only disappearing when the forest thickens and the shadows take over. Other visitors speak of unearthly screams echoing through the rocky bluffs surrounding the lake. The sounds are sudden, jarring, and impossible to locate, as if they originate from multiple directions simultaneously. Campers have reported that the cries seem to intensify on moonless nights or during sudden shifts in weather, creating an atmosphere of tension and dread. Some believe these screams are the voices of spirits who perished near the lake long ago, warning intruders to respect the sacredness of the land and water. Others suggest that the noise is a residual echo of ancient battles or ceremonies, replaying across time and terrain. In addition to glowing eyes and haunting sounds, many have reported seeing ghostly figures along the cliffs and shoreline. Shadowy warriors, clad in archaic garb, are said to stand motionless on the bluffs, watching silently before fading into mist. Some of these figures appear to move in slow, deliberate patterns, pacing or gesturing as if performing a ritual or guarding the land. Hikers recount sudden chills and the sensation of invisible eyes following them, particularly when approaching the water or climbing isolated trails. In several accounts, the figures vanish the moment they are approached, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread and the faint echo of footsteps that were never made. Devil's Lake has also inspired stories of strange water phenomena. On otherwise calm days, ripples and waves appear without wind or disturbance. Boaters and swimmers have described feeling sudden tugs or pressure in the water, as if unseen hands are pulling at them. Some claim to see shapes moving beneath the surface, long, shadowy forms that vanish when looked at directly. These accounts, though often dismissed as imagination, recur frequently enough to suggest that the lake harbors unexplained activity tied to its legendary depth and connection to otherworldly realms. Visitors have also reported sudden, inexplicable weather changes around the lake. Clear skies can darken abruptly, fog may roll in thick and heavy, and sudden gusts of wind stir the water and forests without warning. These occurrences often coincide with paranormal activity, intensifying the eerie sensations experienced by those present. Some hikers and campers believe the lake is responding to human intrusion, an active force rather than a passive witness, warning those who tread too lightly or disrespectfully near its edges. The cliffs and surrounding forests amplify the lake's haunting reputation. Natural formations create strange acoustics, allowing sounds to echo unnaturally, and shadows cast by the rocks can take on uncanny shapes. At dawn and dusk, the play of light and mist can make the cliffs appear to shift, as if figures are emerging or retreating into the rock itself. Visitors often report the sensation of being followed or observed in these areas, a feeling intensified by the lake's long-standing legend. Beyond individual sightings and sensations, Devil's Lake inspires a pervasive psychological impact. Many who spend time near the lake report feeling unsettled, drained, or watched long after leaving. It is as if the place retains a memory of tragedy and spiritual unrest, imprinting it on those who visit. The combination of natural beauty, historical significance, and supernatural lore creates an environment where fear and fascination intertwine, leaving visitors simultaneously awed and cautious. The lake's mysterious reputation is bolstered by its history of native legends, European settlement, and countless human experiences of unexplained phenomena. Its depth, towering cliffs, and surrounding wilderness make it a perfect setting for ghostly manifestations. Over time, these experiences have become part of the cultural fabric of the region, a testament to the enduring power of place and story. Devil's Lake remains one of Wisconsin's eeriest natural wonders. Its tranquil waters conceal ancient mysteries, and its cliffs watch silently as generations come and go. The red eyes that appear in the darkness, the screams that echo through the bluffs, and the spectral warriors that guard the shoreline all serve as reminders that this lake is far more than a scenic destination. For those who venture there, Devil's Lake offers beauty intertwined with terror, an experience where the natural world intersects with the supernatural, and where the past continues to watch, echo, and haunt. Pyramid Lake, located in the stark desert landscapes of Nevada, is a striking body of water. Its deep blue surface, framed by arid mountains and wide-open skies. At over 170 square miles, it is one of the largest natural lakes in the state, fed by the Truckee River and known for its fishing, boating, and stark natural beauty. Yet beneath this serene surface lies a darker, far more sinister reputation, one steeped in ancient Paiute legends and ghostly encounters that continue to haunt those who visit. Known as a place where spirits linger and the boundary between the living and the supernatural blurs, Pyramid Lake is a destination both mesmerizing and terrifying. The Paiute people, who have lived in the region for centuries, speak of mysterious water spirits called water babies. These entities are said to inhabit the lake and its shores, crying like infants, their wails both heart-wrenching and chilling. According to legend, the water babies use their cries to lure unsuspecting victims to the water. Travelers, fishermen, or children drawn to the sound of their sorrowful voices might find themselves pulled into the lake, never to return. The legend warns that these spirits are dangerous, and that Pyramid Lake should be approached with caution, particularly after dark or during times of sudden weather changes. Visitors to the lake frequently report hearing strange sounds that echo across the water at night. Fishermen, especially those on the more isolated parts of the lake, often speak of faint crying, sobbing, or whimpering that seems to come from the depths. The cries are human in tone, yet somehow otherworldly, carrying over the still water in a way that feels both near and impossibly distant. Many who hear the sounds report a deep sense of unease, a pull toward the lake that is almost magnetic, as though the spirits themselves are trying to reach the living. In some chilling accounts, fishermen have described feeling unseen hands tugging at their boats or their legs while wading in shallow waters. The force is strong enough to disturb their balance, and yet when they attempt to look beneath the surface, nothing is there. Swimmers and those who venture too far from shore have reported sudden, inexplicable currents pulling them toward deeper water, accompanied by the persistent cries of infants or children. These experiences reinforce the local belief that Pyramid Lake is alive with the spirits of the water babies, who haunt the depths and shorelines in search of victims or to guard their domains. Even during the day, Pyramid Lake exudes a subtle but unnerving presence. The stillness of the water, the isolated desert backdrop, and the abrupt cliffs and shallows create an environment that feels both timeless and oppressive. Photographers and hikers have described seeing shapes moving beneath the surface, dark, elongated forms that vanish when approached or illuminated. Boaters sometimes glimpse shadows darting across the lake, fast enough to elude the eye but leaving a lingering sense that something is watching. The lake, so calm and inviting in the sunlight, takes on a more sinister character as the sun dips and shadows lengthen. Pyramid Lake's connection to the Paiute legends extends beyond the water itself. The surrounding landscape, with its jagged cliffs, isolated beaches, and hidden inlets, seems to amplify the lake's haunted reputation. Campers report hearing cries from locations where no person is visible, whispers carried across the wind, or the sound of splashing in areas devoid of fish or wildlife. Hikers along the cliffs have described sudden chills, the sensation of being watched, and even glimpses of pale, indistinct figures moving near the water's edge. Some suggest these are manifestations of the water babies, drawn to the living by their presence and curiosity. The lake's danger is not merely folkloric. Pyramid Lake is known for strong currents, sudden drop-offs, and cold, deep waters that can easily overwhelm the unprepared. For generations, locals have combined practical warnings with the legends, cautioning visitors to respect the lake and its power. Yet even those who are careful often report experiences that defy explanation. The cries of the water babies, the tugging sensations in the water, and shadowy movements below the surface are recurring phenomena, hinting that the lake holds more than natural hazards. It harbors restless spirits that interact with the living in mysterious ways. Nighttime is when Pyramid Lake is at its most haunting. The desert around it grows quiet, the wind dies down, and the water reflects the stars in a vast, black mirror. The cries of the water babies are said to be loudest in the darkness, echoing across the lake and cliffs in a way that seems to surround listeners completely. Campers near the shoreline sometimes wake to find the sounds moving closer, yet when they investigate, there is no one there. Boaters have described fog rising suddenly from the lake, obscuring vision while the wailing intensifies, as if the spirits are drawn to the presence of the living. Some visitors have claimed to see spectral infants or shadowy childlike figures floating just above the water, their forms indistinct but unmistakably human. These figures are said to drift silently, vanishing when approached. Others have reported seeing lights beneath the surface, glowing faintly in deep water where no sun penetrates, as if the lake itself is harboring eyes that watch intruders. Many who witness these phenomena leave with a profound sense of unease, a lingering fear that the lake remembers those who dare to tread its waters. Pyramid Lake is a study in contrasts. Its clear waters, dramatic cliffs, and desert backdrop make it a place of natural wonder. Yet beneath this beauty lies a layer of danger, mystery, and the supernatural. The Paiute water babies, the cries at night, the unseen tugs in the water, and the shadowy figures all serve as reminders that Pyramid Lake is far more than a scenic desert lake. It is a place where spirits whisper from the depths, where the past continues to reach out, and where visitors can feel the haunting presence of a legend that has endured for centuries. For those who approach Pyramid Lake, it is impossible to ignore the stories that linger in the wind and across the water. The cries, the shadows, and the unseen forces tugging from the depths serve as constant reminders that the lake is alive in ways beyond the natural. To stand on its shores at night is to confront the lingering spirits of the water babies, to feel the pull of a world just out of reach, and to recognize that Pyramid Lake is a place where beauty, mystery, and danger are forever intertwined. Lake Hartwell, sprawling across the border of South Carolina and Georgia, is a massive man-made reservoir covering over 56,000 acres of water. Known for its fishing, boating, and scenic beauty, the lake attracts thousands of visitors each year, seeking recreation and relaxation. Yet beneath its calm surface lies a haunting past one that few casual visitors consider. Lake Hartwell was formed in the 1950s through the construction of Hartwell Dam, which required flooding entire valleys, including towns, farmlands, and cemeteries. Families were displaced, homes were submerged, and unmarked graves were lost to the waters. For many locals, the lake is more than a recreational site. It is a resting place for the past, a reservoir filled not only with water, but with lingering spirits. From its earliest days, whispers circulated about strange occurrences on Hartwell. Boaters have long reported seeing ghostly figures along the shoreline, often appearing just at dusk or in early morning fog. These apparitions take many forms. Some are shadowy silhouettes standing silently on the banks, while others resemble entire spectral households, frozen in time as if watching over their lost land. Campers and hikers occasionally hear footsteps on empty trails or faint voices drifting across the water, only to discover that no one is present. These eerie experiences contribute to a feeling that the lake is alive, its waters holding the memory of the communities that were erased to create it. Fishermen in particular have shared chilling tales of encounters with the supernatural. Some report seeing ghostly lights under the water, faintly glowing or moving in ways that cannot be explained. Others feel sudden tugs on their lines or inexplicable shifts in the current, as if something beneath the surface is aware of their presence. Divers, though less common in the lake's shallow areas, have recounted hearing whispers echoing around them, often indistinct but carrying a tone of sorrow or warning. These experiences suggest that Hartwell is not just haunted along its edges. The depths themselves seem to retain the spirits of those who were displaced or drowned, forever tied to the lake. The haunting presence at Lake Hartwell is amplified by its misty mornings and sudden weather shifts. Fog can rise unexpectedly, shrouding the water in a thick, opaque veil. In these moments, the lake can feel almost otherworldly, and visitors often describe a sense of being watched or followed. Shadowy figures sometimes emerge from the mist, only to vanish when approached, leaving behind an uneasy silence. The lake seems to communicate its restless energy subtly but persistently, reminding those who enter that beneath the beauty lies a history marked by loss and displacement. Nighttime intensifies the lake's eerie reputation. Campers near the shore have reported hearing soft crying, laughter, or conversations where no one is visible. Lights appear and disappear across the water, and boats sometimes rock inexplicably in calm conditions. Many attribute these phenomena to the spirits of the towns and families lost beneath the lake, unable to leave the places they once called home. The legends warn that the lake remembers what was taken, and those who venture onto its waters after dark may feel the weight of that memory pressing down upon them. Despite its haunted reputation, Lake Hartwell remains a popular destination. Visitors come for its recreational opportunities, unaware roar, curious about the ghostly tales that surround it. Those who have spent time on its waters often describe a dual sensation: awe at its natural beauty, and unease at the lingering presence beneath. The combination of shimmering sunlit waters, dense forested banks, and the knowledge of submerged towns creates an atmosphere that is both captivating and unsettling. The lake's legacy is tied deeply to the lives lost or displaced during its creation. Families uprooted, graves flooded, and entire communities erased formed the foundation for the haunting experiences reported by modern visitors. Boaters, campers, and anglers frequently remark that they can feel the lake's restless energy, a subtle but undeniable awareness that the past has not been forgotten. Shadowy figures, ghostly lights, whispered voices, and inexplicable movements in the water all point to a presence that lingers. A reminder that history, tragedy, and memory are never truly submerged. Lake Hartwell is a place where natural beauty and haunting history coexist. Its sparkling waters, scenic landscapes, and recreational appeal attract many, but the stories that rise from its depths remind visitors that it is also a lake of memory and spirits. The ghostly figures along the shoreline, the phantom towns beneath the surface, and the restless energy that pervades the area all serve as a testament to the lives lost and the communities erased. A place where the echoes of history and spirits continue to linger, quietly haunting the waters and the land around them. Lake Monongahela, located in the rolling hills and valleys of Pennsylvania, is more than just a serene destination for anglers and boaters. Its placid surface, framed by forested slopes and misty mornings, belies a dark and haunting history that continues to linger beneath the water. A man-made reservoir created decades ago, Lake Monongahela was formed by flooding entire valleys, submerging towns, roads, and even cemeteries. The process erased communities almost entirely, leaving behind homes, fields, and graves swallowed by the deep waters. Locals have long whispered that the lake carries the weight of these lost lives, and those who venture too close or dive too deep sometimes encounter phenomena that are difficult to explain. Divers exploring Lake Monongahela frequently report eerie experiences. The waters, often murky in the lower depths, seem to conceal more than sunken debris. Some divers speak of hearing faint whispers echoing around them, words that are indistinct but carry a sorrowful or warning tone. These sounds are not transmitted through water in a normal way. Rather, they feel as though they emanate directly from the lake itself. In addition, many divers have described shadowy movements below them, figures or shapes that dart just beyond vision, vanishing whenever they attempt to approach. Some say these spirits are those whose graves were disturbed when the valleys were flooded, eternally bound to the waters above. Fishermen on the lake often encounter their own share of supernatural occurrences. On calm nights, when the surface of the water reflects the stars like a glass mirror, phantom lights sometimes appear beneath the surface. These glowing orbs move unpredictably, rising and sinking, as if signaling some hidden presence far below. Some say they are the spirits of the dead, the glow marking graves disturbed or communities lost. Others speculate that these lights are warnings, manifestations of the lake's restless energy, and a reminder that the waters conceal more than fish. Boaters have also reported sudden chills and an overwhelming sense of being watched while navigating the lake, particularly near areas that once held settlements. Shadowy figures occasionally appear along the shoreline, standing motionless before fading into the forested background. Campers along the banks recount hearing footsteps and voices where no one is present, or seeing faint shapes moving in the fog that rises off the water in the early morning. These experiences are often described as unsettling rather than violent, but the emotional impact lingers long after the encounter. The history of Lake Monongahela adds weight to its reputation. Entire towns, homes, schools, and churches were flooded to make way for the reservoir. Cemeteries were relocated in some cases, but many graves remain submerged, leaving spirits that some believe cannot rest. Residents recount stories passed down through generations, lights flickering where houses once stood, cries of children in the mist, and strange ripples on perfectly still water. These tales, combined with modern eyewitness accounts, reinforce the sense that Lake Monongahela is not just a man-made body of water, but a living, haunted entity, preserving the memory of those lost beneath its depths. Some visitors have felt physical sensations that are difficult to explain. Divers have reported a sense of weight or pull when near certain areas of the lake, as if unseen hands are tugging at them. Swimmers sometimes experience sudden currents that appear without wind or rain, as if the lake itself is reminding them of its presence. Hikers along the banks occasionally feel a cold, suffocating air that seems localized and impossible to attribute to natural causes. These experiences suggest that the lake's haunted energy is not confined to sight or sound alone, but is something more pervasive, felt even without direct interaction. Nighttime at Lake Monongahela brings these legends into sharper focus. The dark waters, surrounded by thick forests and rolling hills, create a natural isolation that amplifies every sound and shadow. The whispers divers hear become more vivid in their imagination, while the ghostly lights reported by fishermen appear more otherworldly against the dark backdrop. Campers tell of waking to hear footsteps along the shore or soft crying that drifts across the water, stopping abruptly when investigated. The stillness of the night allows the lake's haunted presence to make itself known, reminding visitors that beneath the surface lies a history they cannot touch. Even in the daytime, the lake carries an aura of unease for those who know its history. The mists rising off the water can take on shapes that appear humanoid, fleeting forms that vanish as the sun climbs higher. Boats sometimes rock inexplicably without wind, and shadows move in ways that seem to defy natural explanation. Locals advise caution for newcomers and strangers, warning that respect for the lake and its submerged history is necessary for safety, both physical and spiritual. The lake's combination of natural beauty and lingering hauntings makes it a place of contrasts. Its tranquil waters, reflected sunlight, and recreational opportunities coexist with stories of submerged towns, restless spirits, and ghostly phenomena. Every ripple, shadow, and whisper carries the weight of history. reminding visitors that Lake Monongahela is not merely a man-made lake, but a repository of memories, grief, and the unexplained. Lake Monongahela remains one of Pennsylvania's most mysterious and haunting destinations. From phantom lights beneath the surface to whispers echoing through the depths, from shadowy figures along the shoreline to the pool felt by divers, the lake is alive with stories of the past. Its waters hide both history and spirits, creating an environment where the natural and supernatural converge. To spend time on Lake Monongahela is to witness a place where history is preserved in the depths, and where those lost to the floods continue to linger, watching, whispering, and haunting the lake eternally. And there you have it, to 20 of the most haunted lakes in the United States. These waters hold more than fish and reflections. They carry stories of loss, tragedy, and restless spirits. From cursed shores to ghostly figures, each lake reminds us that beauty and horror often live side by side. So, the next time you stand on a quiet shore, with moonlight dancing on the waves, listen closely. The water may be whispering its secrets, and not all of them are meant for the living. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the haunted depths. If you enjoyed drifting through the shadows with me tonight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the water remembers.